When we look across Britain today, and across Europe, and America, you can feel something rising in the collective psyche. It's a tension, a fear, a sense that the West is being overtaken. Millions feel it. They don't always say it out loud, but they do feel it. Because people see this demographic change happening faster than anyone prepared them for. Streets, communities, cities, all transforming within a single generation. And they see violent extremism dominating the headlines, attacks, plots, unrest. And they start to believe the narrative that moderates will always side with the extremists. Fear paints with a broad brush. Fear creates absolutism. Fear convinces people that the worst voices speak for everybody. But fear is also a terrible architect for the future, our future. And to understand why the West feels this way, we need to understand how we got here. This isn't about blaming entire groups. It's about recognising the ideological machinery that shapes policy. For decades, the far-left extremists pushed mass migration as a moral mission, a kind of redemption narrative for Western guilt. In the universities, academic Marxism targeted the pillars of Western identity, Christianity, patriotism, family, and national culture. And beyond that, powerful global interests, corporate, political, and ideological, they all championed multiculturalism, not as a celebration of diversity, but as a way to dilute national cohesion and create populations which are easier to manage. These forces don't reflect one group or one religion. They reflect instead an ideological incentive and political worldview which is not an entire people, and that distinction does matter. Because here's the truth that cuts through the fatalism. Painting 1.9 billion Muslims with the same brush is not only wrong, it's strategically suicidal. There are peaceful, loyal, assimilated Muslim communities in Britain and across the West. Muslims have fought for this country. Many have stood against extremism. Many lost their lives because of it. In the Middle East and Asia, Muslims have been victims of terrorism on a scale that the West has never faced. Most Muslim families want the exact same thing that Christian families want: safety, morality, stability. And once you see this clearly, the entire narrative changes. Because this isn't a war between Christianity and Islam. It never was. The real dividing line is something far, far deeper. It's extremism versus humanity, authoritarianism versus freedom, identity versus identity destruction, spiritual awareness versus spiritual emptiness. And once you see that, you stop believing the story that we're all doomed. You realise that what we're facing is not a religious conflict, it's a spiritual one. The real threat to the West isn't any external group of people. The real threat is internal collapse. A faithless West is a vulnerable West. A spiritually hollow society becomes weak, divided and conquerable. Not by armies, but ideology, extremism, propaganda and manipulation. And the problem is not that Britain has too many people from different backgrounds. The problem is that Britain has forgot who Britain is. So what does hope look like? And what's the real way forward? It looks like assimilation, real assimilation, with clear, firm expectations. British laws, British freedoms, British values, Christian cultural heritage, non-negotiable. It looks like ending top-down ideological manipulation. No more forced diversity, no more weaponised guilt, no more political games played with our identity. It looks like strong borders and strong communities. A nation who decides who comes in and ensures those who arrive build with us, not against us. And above all else, it looks like spiritual revival, because a spiritually strong people cannot be overtaken, not by ideology, not by extremism, not by any other religion, and certainly not by fear. The West doesn't fall because others rise. The West falls only when it forgets its own foundations. And that brings me to the message I really want to leave you with today. We're not doomed, only unless we surrender. Because strength defeats extremism. Identity defeats division. Faith defeats fear. Britain is only lost if Britain forgets who she is. And I promise you, she's starting to remember.